There's a couple different ways you can have this experience. When you're trying to do something, and no matter what you do, it just is feeling like it's taking a lot of effort. The other thing is you might be driving your car and it just doesn't feel like it's working well. This has to do with alignment. This is what we're talking about today and for the rest of the month. I'm really focusing on that feeling of alignment with who you are and how you're spending your time, particularly at work. My name is Suzanne McCall, and I'm doing the Self-Worth Talks. Today, let's talk about alignment. What does that mean? So alignment has to do with when two things are running parallel to each other. They're really just kind of working smoothly by each other. They're not interfering. They're not getting in each other's way. And in some ways, they create a sense of momentum because there's that, the breeze or the energy that's flowing, right? So that's what alignment is. That's a great feeling. And if you think about your life, there's probably some times when it felt like, wow, this is all just working so well. And what that has to do with is when you have certain values and beliefs, and you are spending your time in a job or with people who support that. They may not have the exact same values and beliefs, but their values and beliefs line up in a way that you can keep moving forward and growing, as opposed to when you're with certain people and you're constantly going, oh my God, okay. And then you kind of try to get back on track and you keep trying to find ways to get on track, right? Or when you have a certain job. For example, I want to talk about my last job. I was a therapist, I was a supervisor, and I loved what I did. And I was feeling like I wanted to take the next step to have more of a leadership role. And a position opened up to be the director where I was. I put my hat in, I talked to certain people, but the people who were in charge of hiring, it was like they didn't hear me. They just totally ignored me. And I kept getting those messages that, oh no, you're not the right person, or you couldn't do that. And it was sort of not spoken. It was implied. It really felt like it wasn't in alignment with what my values were, which was one of my values has to do with a growth mindset, that where I work should be a place where I am supported, I am valued, and my growth is encouraged. And there's communication's another one. There was no communication. There was nobody sitting down like the people hiring saying, we really appreciate you putting this offer in. We do value you. None of that. It came to a point where I had to leave because I knew I wanted to grow more, and I could see that their values were not in alignment. And it was like butting up against it, right? And I just didn't want to do that anymore. So then what I did is I went and I worked for myself doing private practice. And then when I wanted to expand, I became a group practice owner. It was all totally in alignment. It didn't mean it was easy, but it wasn't stopping my growth by going in and doing what I was doing. It was improving my growth, and I could live with my values and try to create them in the work that I do. That's an example of two different, states, one alignment, one misalignment. And I know that different people can probably understand what that is. So when it comes to work, another way that you can experience not being in alignment is when you're communicating things and you're putting your 2 cents in and you're trying to do projects, and people it's like they don't hear you, or they might be telling you it's not okay, that's not good enough that way, or that's not how we do things. And it continually happens. Some of my clients develop imposter syndrome from that because They feel like they're a phony because they're not fitting in. In actuality, it really isn't anything to do with them. It's more that their goals, who they are, their strengths are not in alignment with the company. And, companies will tell you what their mission is and what their goals are, but the people who are putting all that into action, into procedures and policies, and all those informal interactions may not be enforcing those missions and those values. So there's often some confusion. If you're finding, for example, that you are getting up and not wanting to go to work, or you're finding you're ending up late, or you're at work and you just can't concentrate or focus, you have anxiety about your job, and you're getting negative feedback from the people you work with or your superiors. Sometimes what those symptoms and signs mean are that you're not in a place where there's alignment. A lot of times, we might end up getting let go, or somebody might tell us, we think you'd be better off in this other department. And it feels like a punishment or an insult. But what that really is doing is it's like the universe giving you that opportunity because you keep trying and trying and trying to make it work. But it's not going to work. It's not ever going to work. And so sometimes the universe will create situations where you end up in that other department. Or like for me, for example, I wanted to try to stay and become the leader of that department and that program. But I think the universe knew that even if I was the leader, I would still be kind of butting up against other people a lot because my values were not the same as the values where I was working. And I ended up much happier. And most people say that they're a lot happier. Last week in my social media, I was talking about trusting yourself. That's really important when it comes to alignment. You have to check in with yourself. So this is how you know if you're in alignment with yourself and with how you're spending your time at work. You have to take time and check in with yourself. And take some time out, do some breathing, listen to what's going on inside of you. That we all have an inner voice. So take a few minutes and listen to your inner voice. Maybe ask, what do I need to know about, how I'm spending my time? And just listen and trust what that inner voice says. If you're not sure if that's something that you want to try to act on, you may not be ready. You might need to ask some people, throw it around with other people. Like, what do you think about this? This is what I've been thinking, and I'm not really sure what it means. So, ask people. Don't just ignore those voices, okay? So tuning into yourself is going to help you know how to make decisions about being in alignment with what you do. So one way of doing this is to make those decisions before they happen. The other way is to tune into your inner voice when things are going on. Taking a pause when you have interactions with people at work, slowing down, trying not to react, and giving yourself a few moments or a day to step away, think about what's being asked of you, and asking yourself, is this in alignment with what my values are? And is this going to make me feel like I'm growing, I'm evolving? It's really for me. And listen to what your answers are. Again, you can check it out with somebody. I know that I worked with a coach. I worked with Naomi Rafalowitz in terms of understanding what my life values were and what my strengths were. And that really helped. So one thing you can do is to really get clear about your values, work with a coach, and try to really hone in on what is important to you in terms of your values. And then when you do things when people ask you to do things, like check that list of what your values are. And I'm going to put on my website some list of values, because I know when I first started thinking about this, I really wasn't even sure what my values were and what some values might be. So go ahead and check that out, and that might help you. So one thing to do is also, if you have a company where you realize the values of the company are not in alignment with your values and your goals, you could do two things, right? You could leave. I would recommend making sure that, it's a calculated risk, whatever you decide to do. The other thing you can do is to tune into certain people at your company who are in alignment with who you are and what your values are. I did that in my last job, and it really helped me to feel good about my job while I was there. I focused on what I could control, and I made decisions as I went, if I could stay any longer or if I needed to leave. So that's one thing you could do. The other thing is to open a dialogue with your direct supervisor, look at your company mission statements and values, and try to find a way to breach the topic with different people in terms of maybe having some kind of initiative of having a conversation with staff and trying to integrate those missions and goals in a better way. So you might be able to make some changes where you actually work. I think those are some really important ideas. I would love to hear more what you have to say and what you're interested in. So leave some comments below. The next Self-Worth Talks that I'm doing is going to be live on Instagram. So if you have questions that you want me to address, put them in the comments, and definitely sign up and follow me so that you'll know when that's happening. I'd love to see you there. I love having dialogues with people. So let's see if we can get one going. All right. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon. All right. Bye.